Hare Krishna everyone, welcome back to Shravanam Diaries podcast. I'm your host Sulalita Devidasi and we're continuing to read The Science of Self-Realization, the book by His Divine Grace, Srila A.C. Bhakti-Vedanta Swami Prabhupada. Jai Prabhupada. This is chapter 8, Attaining Perfection, and this is the last section, which is entitled The Perfection of Self-Realization. Continuing. Yesterday, in previous episode, we stopped at the point where it was established that only people who are on the spiritual platform can be truly non-envious. Continuing. This is also the verdict of the Bhagavad Gita 5.18 to 19. Vidya vinaya sampanne brahmane gavihastini Shuni chaiva svapakecha Pandita samadarshinaha Ihaiva terjitah sargo Yesham samyesthitam manaha Nirdosham hi samam brahma Tasmad brahma nite sthitaha. Quote, the humble sage, by virtue of true knowledge, sees with equal vision a learned and gentle brahmana, a cow, an elephant, a dog, and a dog-eater. Those whose minds are established in sameness and equanimity have already conquered the conditions of birth and death. They are flawless like Brahman, and they have thus already become situated in Brahman. Unquote. Such a position can be obtained by one who has acquired the mercy of Lord Chaitanya. Upon obtaining his mercy, a person can deliver suffering humanity from material contamination. Because the 6 Goswamis were such devotees, we offer our respectful obeisances unto them with the mantra Vande Rupa Sanatana Raghuyugo Shri Jiva Gopalako. The 6 Goswamis were expert in scrutinizingly studying all the scriptures with the aim to establish real religion in the world. They left many books to guide us, the most famous of which is Sri Rupa Goswami's Bhakti Rasamrita Sindhu, the nectar of devotion, which gives the neophyte devotee initial direction. The Goswamis always worked very hard, day and night, and their business was simply writing books, chanting and dancing. Indeed, they were practically released from the bodily necessities of eating, sleeping, mating, and defending themselves out of fear. There was no question of mating at all, nor was there any question of fearing or defending, for they were totally absorbed in Krishna. At most, they used to sleep 1 or half hour daily, and they ate practically nothing. Whenever they felt hungry, they would simply go to a householder's home and beg 1 or 2 pieces of bread. The mission of such saintly persons is but to make suffering humanity happy by elevating everyone to spiritual consciousness. In the material world, everyone is trying to exploit one another. One nation is trying to exploit another nation. One society is trying to exploit another. One businessman is trying to exploit another, etc., etc. This is called the struggle for existence. And out of it, the people who are struggling have invented a law called might is right. But we can actually see that even the most powerful must struggle. Just as in the current world situation, there is a great struggle going on between Russia, America, and China. Because of such struggle, everyone is suffering. Indeed, the very struggle for existence means suffering. The pure devotees of Krishna, however, are interested not in exploiting others, but in helping people become happy, and therefore they're worshipped on all planets. Chanakya Pandita even said that a rich man and a learned man cannot be compared, for a rich man may be honored in his own country or on his own planet, but a learned man, a devotee of God, is honored wherever he goes. Nor for a devotee is there a distinction between heaven and hell, because Krishna is with him in both places. Where there is Krishna, there is no question of hell. Every place is Vaikuntha. Haridas Thakur, for example, did not enter the Jagannath temple at Puri, for he was born in a Mohammedan family, and the Hindus opposed the Mohammedans entering the temple. Haridas Thakur did not let this disturb him, however. He thought, "Oh, why should I go and disturb them? I shall chant here." Consequently, Lord Chaitanya, who is Lord Jagannath himself, came daily to see Haridas. This is the power of a pure devotee. He doesn't have to go to Jagannath. Jagannath comes to him. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu used to go see Haridas Thakur daily when the Lord was going to bathe in the sea. The Lord would enter Haridasa's cottage and ask, "Haridas, what are you doing?" And Haridas would reply, "Please come in, my Lord." This then is the actual position of a devotee. Therefore, Krishna says that worship of his devotee is even more valuable than worship of himself. The devotee is actually able to deliver Krishna, for he knows the science of Krishna consciousness, the science of hearing Krishna's words, eating Krishna prasadam, and enjoying Krishna. The impersonalists and voidists may preach dry philosophical treatises on Aham Brahmasmi, I am spirit, Aham Brahmasmi. But ultimately, who will be attracted? What is the difference between someone who thinks, "I am a stone," and someone who thinks, "I am void"? Why should we become stone, wood, or void? Our actual position should be in reciprocating loving affairs with Krishna. The spark of love for Krishna is struck by the spiritual master, the pure devotee. As for myself, my spiritual master, His Divine Grace, Om Vishnupad Bhakti-Siddhanta Saraswati Goswami Prabhupada, ordered me to take up the responsibility of spreading Krishna consciousness in the Western world. His Divine Grace had a great desire to preach Lord Chaitanya's message in the West, and my success is both His grace and pleasure. When I first met my spiritual master, I was a very young man in India, a nationalist, engaged in a very responsible office. But although I did not want to go one of my friends, who is still living in Calcutta, forcibly took me to his divine grace. I was reluctant to see him because in our home, our father used to receive many sannyasis, and I was not satisfied with their dealings. I thought that Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Goswami Maharaj might be a similar man, and if he were, what business would I have in seeing him? But my friend took me forcibly. "Why not see him?" he asked. I finally relented and went with him, and I profited. On my first visit, His Divine Grace said that it was necessary for educated boys like me to go to foreign countries and preach the gospel of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. I replied that India was a foreign-dominated nation and that no one would hear our messages. Actually, at the time, foreigners considered Indians very insignificant, because in the face of so many independent nations, India was still dependent, being dominated by Britain. At the time, there was one Bengali poet who actually lamented that even uncivilized nations were independent, whereas India was dependent on the British. His Divine Grace convinced me that dependence and independence are simply temporary conditions, and he pointed out that because we are concerned with the eternal benefit of humanity, we should take up this challenge of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. This meeting with His Divine Grace, my Guru Maharaj, took place in 1922, half a century ago. Actually, this year in 2022, the place where Srila Prabhupada met Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur, that place was completely renovated and opened for a visit. Like, you can visit that place. It was completely... I visited it maybe 5 years ago, and we just looked at it from a distance because the property was still owned by other people and it was not managed properly. It was basically almost like worn down. Not worn down, but it was old looking and not well maintained. But in the last 5 years, they were able to purchase that building, and now it's so beautiful. I recommend you visit it. Jai. Ask ISKCON Calcutta to give you a tour. So this is 100 years ago. This year was 100th centennial. Continuing. I was officially initiated in 1933, just 3 years before the passing of Guru Maharaj from this mortal world. At the last moment, just a fortnight before his passing away, he wrote me a letter repeating his instructions. He specifically said that I should try to preach this gospel among English-speaking people. After receiving this letter, I sometimes dreamed that Guru Maharaj was calling me and that I was leaving home and following him. I was dreaming in this way and thinking, I have to give up my home. My Guru Maharaj wants me to give up my home and take sannyas. At the same time, I thought, this is horrible. How can I leave my home, my wife, my children? This is called Maya. Actually, I did not want to give up my home life, but Guru Maharaj made me give it up. Following his orders, I left my home, including a few children. But now Guru Maharaj has given me many nice children all over the world. Thus, by serving Krishna, no one becomes a loser, and this is an example from my own practical experience. When I left India alone in 1965, I feared that I would have a great deal of trouble. The Indian government would not allow me to take any money out of the country. So I came with only a few books and 40 rupees. I arrived in New York City in such a condition, but it was all by the grace of Guru Maharaj and Krishna. Everything happens by the combined mercy of Krishna and the spiritual master. In the Chaitanya Charitamrita, it is stated that the mercy of Krishna and Guru are combined. This is the secret of success in this Krishna consciousness movement. Krishna is always within us, and consequently, He knows everything about our purposes. And He gives us the opportunity to work as we decide. If we decide to enjoy this material world, Krishna gives us the intelligence to become a very shrewd businessman, or a popular politician, or a cunning man, so that we can earn money and enjoy ourselves. According to the standards of material life, many people are becoming great. They begin as very poor men and soon, by good fortune, become millionaires. We should not think, however, that they are attaining such success by their own tiny endeavors. Without intelligence, no one can improve, and that intelligence is given by Krishna. In the Bhagavad Gita, Krishna states that He is seated in everyone's heart as the super soul, and that by His will a man can remember, and by His will a man can forget. Krishna supplies forgetfulness and remembrance according to the living entity's desire. It's all according to the desire. If we want to forget Krishna and enjoy the material world, He will give us the necessary intelligence so that we can forget Him for good. Hare Krishna. We're going to stop here for today. Thank you so much for tuning in. The link to this book is in the description. Please check out our website shravanamdiaries.com, and we shall see you tomorrow. Hare Krishna.